even an atheist like Percy Shelley talks about the fact that the moment of inspiration is like a burning coal. But the moment that the artist starts to do something with this burning coal, it's already beginning to fade, right? So the purity, the intensity of that inspiration that comes from the divine ultimately.
In a nutshell, about literature with Joseph Pearce.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Franczak and this is part 42 of In a Nutshell about literature with Joseph Pearce. In the previous episode we talked about goodness, truth and beauty in literature and whether something can be both beautiful and bad at the same time. Another interesting topic is whether a work of literature can possibly be wiser than its creator, and if so, how that could happen. I am curious about one thing, because recently I have asked this question one young writer, and I wonder what your opinion is. Is it possible that work of art, that a novel, a poem, is actually wiser than the creator himself? Than the writer, I don't know, a film director. Because sometimes knowing, like we've talked already about it, that it is, like, for example, important to look through Shakespeare's eyes. Yes, try to look through Homer's eyes. And sometimes I have an impression that what writers talk about or film directors talk about is really not what I find in their work. Yes, that it seems to me sometimes that actually they created something that is opposite to what they say. Is it possible?
Oh yes, but yes. So let's try to explain this. That a work of art is ultimately a work of art is a child, and a child needs parents, right? So the artist, if you like, can be seen as the mother of the work, but the father of the work is the giver of the gift, right? So basically, the muse, to use the old word, right, is this gift of inspiration, grace, if we want to use a Christian term for it, this giving of the gift, which comes in two forms, comes in the capacity of the aptitude of the artist. So if someone's been given 5 talents, they have these great gifts that are natural to them. Well, not natural, they're supernatural because they're a supernatural gift. But then you have also the moment of inspiration. So when the writer or the painter sits down to work, right, then there's this inspiration that goes on. And even an atheist like Percy Shelley talks about the fact that the moment of inspiration is like a burning coal. But the moment that the artist starts to do something with this burning coal, it's already beginning to fade, right? So the purity, the intensity of that inspiration that comes from the divine ultimately, immediately, once it gets filtered through the personhood of the human artist, there's a shadow that falls, and that shadow that falls is the shadow of the fall itself, the fallen, broken personhood of the artist. So if an artist has a good relationship with the giver of the gift, in other words, this is a healthy marriage, right? Then the child is going to be beautiful. In other words, if the artist tries to cooperate and doesn't think this is mine and be possessed, like Gollum being possessed by the possession, right, and producing something which is narcissistic and prideful, that's going to be really a Gollumized version of what it could have been. So if the artist gets out of the way, it just cooperates and allows the muse, the inspiration, the grace to work with him rather than trying to dominate it, that's when you get a beautiful work of art. So a work of art should be a true work of art should be giving back to the giver of the gift the fruits of the gift given. Not so you get this beautiful gift given to you of inspiration, of talents, and you should the creative process should be a work of praise, giving back to the giver of the gift the fruits of the gift given, giving back to the father, the child. So that's what a work of art should be. But of course, all of us, to one degree or another, are prideful and broken and problematic, and that's where the sort of messy part of the human creative process comes in. And this brings us to your point. Yes, a great work of art transcends, and even in a great work of art supersedes the limitations of the personhood of the incarnate artist who brings it into being. But, and it's a crucial part, but it doesn't contradict him. In other words, what goes on is not possession, where the artist is just going like this and not even, there's still a relationship. So the personhood will also be part of the impregnation that brings forth the birth, right? So it may transcend and supersede, but it won't contradict, right? So the way I sometimes put this is that William Golding could not have written The Lord of the Rings, and J.R.R. Tolkien could not have written The Lord of the Flies, because in some sense both those works are manifestations of the philosophy, moral outlook, character, personality of the author.
Actually, I have thought right now about using this parallel of a mother, that a mother should take care of herself to have a healthy baby. Yes, so for example, not to smoke, not to drink alcohol, and so on and so on. So I think in a way it applies to writers, to creators of art. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. That's the whole point. If the artist is living virtuously and at least trying to be a saint, obviously trying to be a saint is not the same thing as being one. But if you don't try, you're not going to be one. That if the artist is trying to live virtuously, that will manifest itself in the work. If he's not, that will also manifest itself in the work.
Thank you for watching. And if you haven't seen the previous episodes yet, please check the In a Nutshell About Literature playlist. You can watch them individually or as 5 longer compilation videos. And please remember, you can support the development of this channel in several ways. Subscribe to the channel, like this video and leave a comment. Share the video by copying the link and posting it on our social media. And support us financially by buying me a virtual cup of coffee or making a donation. You can also support this channel by doing the shopping in my online store. Please check out what you can find there. And you will find the links to these services below the video, including Buy Coffee Too and Zrzutka. Thank you once again, and see you in the next episode of In a Nutshell About Literature with Joseph Pearce. God bless you.